finally back to what is, well, not a regular schedule yet. That's going to take a little while. Today was, well, travel, home, sleep, but not like go to bed sleep. More of like, 4 o'clock to like midnight kind of extended period. And now I got to hit arms. So this is, we'll be back on track soon enough. And then I've got a wedding to go to tomorrow. The suit that I had tailored is actually done. Night and day fitted shirt versus like just a regular off the rack like triple XL. They I guess that's not a massive demographic. The like the kind of Doritos sort of looking 3X with the big shoulders, a little more narrow on the waist side. But that's a hard workout to follow up. Getting to see Arnold at Gold's yesterday. I was trying to joke with Mark earlier that I was going to try to find a time to say some shit where I was like, "Where's the bathroom at?" and then try to get an "I'll be back" in. I totally forgot about it. I was just too excited. But yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, I was telling Ronnie too. I kept thinking about all the other just pump and iron training clips and everything else, and yeah, I mean it's nuts because in just a span of, because when did pumping iron come out? I couldn't tell you the exact year, but that's going to be what, 1980 something, 80 something or so. So in only a span of like 45 years, the space of bodybuilding has just expanded beyond just kind of, more of a niche sort of just working out sort of thing to now, I mean, mainstream doesn't even cut it. It's just classic. Everybody's working out. So I wonder if anybody, or I wonder if they had any sort of idea or prediction of just how big of an impact it would have back then. We're all just we're riding the wake of their wave, to put it lightly. But plan for tonight, and it's oh my god, yeah, it's about 2:20. Yeah, plan for tonight some arms, tries, buys, maybe just a touch of forearms, because I don't want him to fall behind, and then see how they're pumped up. Honestly, I'm not I'll see. Rest wise, very solid the last few days. Food a little more sparse, right? Every time I'm kind of traveling around, the airplane meal is not going to be 2,500 or like a 1,500 calorie, 60 grams of protein, 150 grams of rice sort of thing. And we didn't bring any kind of meal prep for the last couple of days. So actually getting home with some real food, and that's nice. But this off season is all going to plan. Nice and I don't want to say slow and steady, because it's not slow, but just nice and steady. If I overdo it, eat too much food, I'm going to have to diet down extra hard and extra long later on. So I'm trying to stay within a middle ground of lean whilst growing, right? And half the logic I'm trying to chill out is my last few off seasons, or proper bulks, I just started eating so much food so soon. It's it's like I just kind of gas out too early, because you can only eat so much food for so long that's above what your body's comfortable with, if you can imagine, right? Because if I let's say you got a guy, he can eat 2,500 every day, that's his baseline, that's very normal for him, and then suddenly you gave him 3,500. How many days in a row do you think he could really keep eating that 3,500? Whereas, let's say you took the same dude and then upped him to 2,700. A few weeks later, upped him to 2,900, 3,100, 3,300, right? Kind of easing into it, really just progressively overloading the calories, right? Because, if you look at it, the logic kind of takes place, or can be found in every other aspect of the working out, right? The more you work out, the more weights you should be working out with, right? The more, actually, what's another kind of, I was just thinking one more. Well, we get the gist. The longer you can do, or the more cardio you end up doing, the easier that it's going to be to increase that cardio's difficulty level, do it a little bit longer. Same with the food, right? So rather than just jumping to like 1 zillion calories off the rip, continually increasing your calorie intake, I feel, is a good way to go about it. Because then you get to actually just watch, just watch the scale, right? The scale tells us all. It's like a freaking, it may as well be a damn Wiseman, right? You come up to him, pop a squat. Are you any heavier than the last few weeks? If not, you're clearly not eating enough food. Maybe your training could be off, your recovery could be off. It's not like there's no other factors than diet. But if you're training recovery, if you're lifting like a regular lifter and you're not seeing that size progress, of course, train harder. But that should be true all the time. But what I would really say is eat harder, right? And I got to keep saying this so I can kind of get the idea out there. When I say bulk up, if you've been plateaued, I do not mean get crazy soft. Excuse me. I'm not saying get yourself up to 35% body fat and then you got a chore in your hands to diet back down. I'm saying grow within let's just say a reasonable body fat percentage that you will be able to manage. Because if it gets to a point where you increase your body fat beyond something you can deal with, now you're really screwed. Sure, you might be a bit bigger, but if you can't diet back down to the same body fat percentage you were before, then you won't actually get to see the increased size gains while staying the same level of leanness, which is kind of the main point, right? That's what I'd be trying to do. Every time I diet down, I want to be just as lean as the last time I dieted, if not leaner, and holding more muscle in my frame. So if I took a bulk where I got way too freaking soft and I couldn't reverse diet back out of it, not that I think I wouldn't be able to, but it's just setting myself up for failure rather than success. If you kind of catch my drift there. So plan for the next few months. Just keep beefing up, and then get ready to be peeled again come end of year. I'm usually the kind of guy where I've been saying it's like, doesn't matter about being diced. If you're making progress, you can be lean later, like enjoy the benefits of being big and lean at the cost of, being big and soft for a period of time. Right? You do a big off season, maybe you take a year where you really try to gain size, even just very slow and steadily and controlled. Then at the end of it, when you diet down, now you're ahead of where you were before, right? It's like you're making a long-term investment, but you're aiming for, like, I feel like the dieting down side of things is essentially a dividend, right? You got to hold the stock of being bulked up and lean, or bulked up and a little softer, for long enough until you can get that payout later on, and most guys are just looking for that kind of steady gain, stay the same size, kind of main gaining sort of situation. And if it's working, obviously I have nothing to say, because what you're doing is working, right? Your gains and your progress will speak for itself, and there's no arguing with objective results. But if you can tell you're kind of slowing down, you're not benching more than you were a few months ago, to a degree, right? Eventually, I think there's a limit of feasible, usable weight. Like I don't think there's ever a world where I'm going to get bigger by, trying to work up to like a 5-plate bench, right? There is kind of that upper limit of a ceiling in a way. But, for anything below that, if you're not getting a bit stronger, getting larger, at least by any noticeable degree that you can see by looking at any sort of progress pictures, you got to change a variable. Your equation is an equilibrium, and that's what your body likes. That's what it's comfortable with. It wants to stay the same. It wants to stay right where you are. That's half the gist of our whole system, right? Circadian rhythm. It wants to wake up at the same time, do the same amount of energy expending, eat the same amount of food, and just have the same day. It's very natural. That's kind of that just leads to order, right? Just same stuff on repeat. But some glitch in the matrix gave us the ability to be conscious of our own thoughts and efforts. And what ended up being lucky for somebody like me, where this is just my thing, I get to say, all right, I'm in pretty decent control of my whole life, and I want some more muscle on my frame. So I'm going to try to break past that, sort of law of nature leading me to just stay the same size, be the same dude, and essentially just outdo it with the training routine, the diet, and the sleeping, and the hydration, and everything, so that I can be in the state I want to be and enjoy the process of getting there. So I guess what I'm trying to say there is you got to fight the power, right? Stick with it, don't slack off, because you're going to enjoy those gains later on, right? But that's the downside. It's going to take a while. I don't see that as a downside because I'm in it for the long haul. But for anybody who's not so steadfast about it, sometimes it can take a little bit of extra sort of etching into their mind to get into that kind of mindset. But I think nothing else left to discuss. Let's just get started. Okay, I've got a plan. I've got a plan for what I want this lift to look like tonight. And part of it is due to the fact that I can tell I'm not totally full of carbs, like I'm not bursting out of the seams, if you will. So that makes me lean a little more towards wanting to do triceps, biceps in tandem. Not like a no-rest superset, but just going back and forth. Set of pushdowns, I won't have to rest as long before doing a set of curls, because obviously my biceps are fresh, tris are still a little, just beat down, and they need a second. So if I'm ever in a rush, there's another angle where a lift like this makes a lot of sense, because you can just go a little quicker, right? It might not be the same as a full-on like tricep destruction if you're doing skull crushers, heavy dips, heavy crazy pushdowns, and you're giving triceps your complete total attention in that moment, and then moving on to bis. But it is very different, right? Because I do think there's a certain effect that we don't give the pump enough credit for. And if you ever do an arm day where you're doing bis, tris, either back and forth, maybe 2 sets alternating, so 2 sets of push downs, 2 sets of curls, back and forth like that. I mean, I've even when I was like 240, like 230, like bulked, I had lifts where, because being pumped is relative, right? You can feel like your arm is so swollen it's going to pop, even if you're a 180 pounder, if you have a really crazy ass arm day. So I've had in some of my earlier bulks when I was really pushing food, near the end or so, I'd have to not do bis and tris at the same time, because if my tris and bis were pumped at once, it was like too much. Like my range of motion was even getting limited because my arm wouldn't really bend in or out of place. But let's start with some pretty heavy single arm pushdowns, just failure on either side. Start with the right tricep since it's a little behind the game compared to the left one. If you have a muscle like that, that's a good approach in balancing that out. So let's say I get 15 reps on my right side, the smaller side. I might, I'm only going to do 15 on the bigger side, because that means the right one will get just a little more work than the other, but it won't overwork, right? Let's say you're right-handed. If your right bicep is substantially bigger than your left, you shouldn't not train your right for a while and only do the left one. Then it's going to over catch up, and now you're going to be in the exact same situation in reverse. So I think kind of just matching reps on the strong side to the weak side, that's the sweet spot. But I think I'll alternate between these heavy single arm pushdowns and cable preachers right over there for as many as I feel as will be good. It's like I'm trying to basically get all the juice out of an orange. I don't know how much juice is in there. I'm going to find out. So if I do 1 set of each and I decide I want to do something else, fine by me. And if it feels so good, I want to stay here for the whole lift, same thing. As long as I can tell my tris and, I'm kind of wrecked in a good way, pumped and fatigued, such that I can say that was a good lift, I don't mind if I do a 1 movement workout. I'm not going to do 1 movement for life, but in 1 workout, hey man, if the rope is your friend on that specific day, make it work, right? Don't change it up purely for the sake of changing it up, right? Have an intention behind it. But let's get started. Yeah, that's a good start. Let's get a curl going. And this is heavy, but not too heavy. Obviously, I don't want to rip my biceps off here. But I mean, honestly, with this movement, I don't think I would. That's not really so much of a risk here. And what I mean by that is the cable is never pulling my arm into a hyperextended position, right? Because at the bottom, the weight is just pulling right here towards the cable. It's never going to bend me back. So if you're, let's just say, a little more on the frightful side of doing easy bar or dumbbell preachers, where at the bottom the weight is still trying to pull your arm down, a very good alternative. I don't think I've ever seen anybody, I don't even want to think about it, but let's get nuts here. Yeah, this will be good. Okay. Oh my goodness. All right. A few more of each. We'll just splice between them. Okay. Oh, I gotta do drops of those too heavy. Okay. Oh. Okay, let's change it up. Do something else for... Actually, yeah, I guess both movements change it up now. Get a little 2 and 2, I guess. All right. Let's move on. Rope extensions. Heavy, but within reason. And then some nasty dumbbell curls. So those preachers were a little more squeeze focused. Heavy set of dumbbell curls. I want the difficulty to basically just stem from the fact that doing one rep is hard. Then I might move on to a lighter curl later where I really want to hold it, do a bit of a longer eccentric, really burn out. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I say this a lot, but I want to hit the spectrum of styles of sets, right? A little triple S, right? Because if I could do heavy weight for a heavy set, not holding, but, you know, really moving it around, not hurting myself, of course, that's a good set. Just on and that's like a subjective thing for me. I like how that set feels. And I mean, when I look back at all my off seasons, all my actual kind of states of progress, dude, when I'm lifting heavy weights, That's when I grow. I'm not saying lighter squeezing workouts don't work, but for me, I mean, half of it could just be the fact that I like them so much, it lets me get behind it. But I'm not saying it's the only way to do it, but it is certainly a way to do it, right? So for every heavy, nasty set I want to do, I'll counter it with a lighter squeezing one that's really going to burn, or a little more stretch focused, like if I do some incline kind of like drag curls in a little bit, that'd be perfect too. But don't just limit yourself to one scrappy light squeezing set. Yeah, because I mean, just the nature of doing that, you are limiting your training, right? Change it up, man. The whole point of this shit is to give yourself stimulus that's new, so your body reacts, right? So half of it doesn't matter if you think it'll work or not. You got to try it to find out. But let's get real here. Okay. Oh, okay. A little heavier for the next one, but let's curl something. I'm not crazy, but I can hear a whisper coming right here from the 70s. And they're saying they're lonely. They're saying they're not getting enough love. It's not like we've got a full-on, crew of members, right? This guy was born, or I guess you could say created to be moved. Shit, man. Can't let dust pile up on these things. That's one thing that's a little, it's bittersweet, right? The heavier dumbbells, on occasion, depending on the place, sometimes they look like they haven't been touched for months, years even. If you've ever looked at an older gym where the stacks are worn down, you can tell a lot of wear and tear right in the middle numbers. Top and the bottom, a little rougher, man. Give them some love. Add a heavy set, add a light squeezing set. Don't neglect any weights. That's my point here. But let's see how many I can get. Oh my goodness. Oh. Oh, okay. Woo. One more of those after another set of rope. Okay. Okay, that's enough rope. Let's get one more dumbbell curls, and then next is definitely going to be a straight bar or easy bar push down. That's freaking heavy today. Okay, fuck. Oh. That's enough of that. Oh my god. That's freaking heavy. This might be the finisher. We're getting close. Honestly, for just 4 good sets, man, that's it. Let's just say those were a dense 4. But playing here, stack. I don't really. I need to figure out a way to add more weight without binding up the machine, because that's one flaw of essentially what you call the gym pin approach, or slapping plates on the side of the stack. Is the stack is perfectly symmetrical, right? These rails that the stack slides up and down, they don't have any force. All they're there is just to stabilize, right? You're not supposed to push up against them or anything. They're just there to keep everything smooth and in line. So if you slap 3 plates on the side of the stack, now the entire metal stack, which has 2 poles going through it, it's wanting to twist, and it won't slide as well. And not only is it just kind of breaking it down, it also kind of screws up the strength curve, because then it's heavier on the way down and lighter on the way up, right? Because when you're going down, it's increased resistance, but also on the way up, it's still got that resistance. So it's like, what would it be like? I guess I can't really describe a real life situation, but either way, not good. And we've all felt a machine where the cables had not been lubricated or greased up for however freaking many years or decades. So a smooth set here, and then some incline seated drag curls, very stretch focused next. And I'll only need the freaking 40s, maybe even the 30s, honestly, with how pumped I am. But I'll decide that in a minute. Let's give tries my full attention first. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's good. Oh. Yeah, there's like a 10 rep squeezing at the bottom and then 10 nasty ones. That's good. Let's grab the let me see if I can do the 50s. If I can, I'll just put it back. No biggie. All right, come on. Okay. Oh man. Oh. Holy shit. Okay. Oh, crap. One more of those. Okay, last set complete. I am at 4% camera battery, so this pump check might get cut just a little bit short, but I think we can get a glimpse before it freaking croaks on us. So let's see how we're looking. Not to double up on the Gold's Gym repping, but these were my only sets of clean shirts and a tank, because all my laundry at home was dirty, and then we just got back home. Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's solid. So I ended up doing one more set of those push downs and then seated drag curls, but I don't want you to die on me before we get posed down. So unless I have a Type-C charger in the car, this might be the end of it, right? But if I can leave you with anything, if I've got to be a little more abrupt, it's that you got to keep chiseling away, no matter what anybody might say, or I think more importantly, what you think anyone else might think, right? Because if you're a guy, let's imagine a dude, hypothetical. He's never been to the gym. He doesn't know what he's doing. A little nervous about it, right? If you want to come and work out, and it's like a high testosterone, like serious thing, you want to look the part. Odds are, you're never going to run into anybody who'd put you down for coming to the gym. I've never seen it, and if you did, literally not even on you, that guy would just be a fucking asshole. Completely random, right? Absolutely nothing on you. That would be crazy. And now with how normalized the gym is, that's just not a thing anymore, right? But if this guy has that perception in his mind that he thinks he's going to stick out to everybody else, it's basically the same situation, right? So you got to tell yourself, could not give two SHITS's about what anybody else might think or say, or just look over at how you're doing your curls. They're your curls, and just keep it at that. And the longer you do it, you'll start to realize what I'm saying. I mean, these guys are focused enough on their own workout, and odds are they might be feeling the same insecurity about thinking that you might be judging them. It's this weird mental fallacy. Don't even sweat it. It's kind of like a conspiracy that will be answered simply by coming to the gym, and you'll see that it's much more chill than you might imagine. And even a little bit paradoxical, because the bigger guys end up being the nicest. So just, you'll see. If you know anybody you're trying to get into the gym, maybe they kind of dabbled earlier in the year, New Year style, and then kind of fell out of it. Look, man, summer is an awesome start. You got a little more time. It's a little bit nicer weather. Everybody's just in more, basically higher spirits, and you got more energy because the weather's nice. You bring that guy to the gym with you. Odds are, whoever's working at the gym will just give him a free day pass if you bring him in anyway. That's a good move, right? That's you doing your part to make fitness great again. Not that I think that it was ever not great, but I mean continually improving and branching out widespread to everyone involved. So I'm gonna go eat something, passed out, and I gotta get ready to get dressed up for tomorrow. I'll try to, maybe I'll do a little car talk on the way there, real snazzy with the suit on. But I'll see you tomorrow.